Coin traders, how we doing? Looking at Internet Computer ICP on that ticker. A few days ago, we did actually do a video on ICP talking about this longer term consolidation. I guess it wasn't a few days ago, but anyway, we looked at this breakout. So now a lot of continuation, even looking at the volume right now, a lot of increasing volume. And it's been pretty insane because we've actually seen a run of about 10 days, I believe. So let's go ahead and measure this out from the first bullish day. So we're actually looking at the 11th day currently right now. So 11 days in a row. So we actually haven't seen that basically at all for Internet Computer. Last one was about 10 days. So we are on the first time that we've ever seen 11 straight days with increasing bullish volume. So a lot of great volume here for Internet Computer, especially with nice daily exponential moving averages in a full bullish formation. But we do know that we are going to need to see a retracement and a back test of these levels at some point, probably up overhead in the near future. And we're going to talk about some of the resistance points in the show today. So if you do like this type of content and video, would appreciate hitting the thumbs up and the like button if you haven't done so just yet. Also the subscribe if you're not currently subscribed to the channel. Huge welcome for everyone back. So do want to start by flipping over to the 2-day chart and kind of zooming out here, because this overall level that we're sitting at is just a ginormous zone. And this is our big accumulation zone that we have been looking at. So typically we see a very long point of an accumulation zone, which actually ends up leading into a very nice Wyckoff type pattern. So it could be very normal to think that we could be setting up for some sort of phase E breakout here, leading into a phase D consolidation. So that's definitely one of the patterns that I am kind of thinking of. And we'll go ahead and throw the Wyckoff accumulation up on the screen right now so you can see kind of the overall pattern. Zooming out, you can see big point of pullback, a long period of this accumulation going through all the different phases, having our phase C running up to our phase D, and then the nice phase E breakout that we are going to anticipate here coming up in the future. But obviously do still have to get a lot of confirmation in order for that to actually happen first though. But yes, you can just see this overall huge, massive zone that Internet Computer has been sitting in since May of 2022. So for a almost 2-year period that we have been looking at, just sitting mostly more or less sideways, obviously in this very big zone. So from the downside, actually is going to be about 67%. From the bottom to the high, we're looking at about 200%. So definitely a pretty wide zone. But if we actually zoom out, you can see with regard to the potential and where the price has been previously back in the previous bull run, that this actually is a pretty small, narrow zone that we're actually looking at for longer term accumulation, especially after such nice upside gains like we're looking at, and especially for a nice, solid, fundamental project like Internet Computer. So up overhead right now, we are going to get stuck up at a big 750 point of resistance, which right now, if we do zoom left, you can see plenty of points of resistance. So we had daily closing resistance on this 2-day. We also had closing resistance and closing resistance previously. Looking left, a little bit of closing support. So definitely we know that 750 is going to be extremely relevant. And then even flipping over to the daily chart here now, we do know that we are going to be looking up to our high point just above the $8 level. So pretty much 7 to 8 or 750 to the $8 level is going to be our big point of resistance. And looking at an extreme upper level just below the $10 level. So big point of resistance and resistance as well. So ideal pattern is if we actually can form that phase D prior to phase E breakout, breaking through the 750 and $8 level, confirming support, and actually seeing this as our level of consolidation and accumulation, that would be an extremely nice setup to have a run up to see the $10 test, and then ultimately another break of that, confirming that as support once that breaks. No time frame predictions for any of this though, but even if we do have a potential setup like we were looking at, it's still going to be over a couple of months, probably into the summer, that we would even see anything probably similar to that type of pattern ultimately playing out. So definitely have to be a little patient on this overall setup, and especially because we do have a lot of rub off from the rest of the crypto space, but we do have Internet Computer ICP being one of those stronger names. So do want to flip over into the coin market cap chart right now, because we are looking at ICP coming in right now after huge, massive gains, market cap of about 3 billion, just over that. So we are sitting at the number 25 rank right now. So a pretty big, substantial improvement since we were looking at being kind of in the upper 30s and right around the 40 line, kind of similar to Algorand. But obviously now with a lot of nice solid upside gains with continuous follow through and volume, that does have the price of Internet Computer sitting at this number 25 rank. And I do expect this to continue to climb as well, especially topping out a lot of some of these other crap coin names, and obviously not financial advice at all. But anyway, flipping back into the daily, want to actually pull up the VPVR volume profile visible range, just kind of look at how the volume actually aligns with our upside target. So current level is above the big point of mass. So we do have a lot of support to the downside, specifically going to be down to about the $6 level. So even pending a rejection from about 750 to 8, would likely experience a pullback down to the $6 level at the low point before finding a likely support level and actually seeing that test again. Because as you can see, the most recent upper level for this point of mass still comes in just above 8, so about 850. And then once we get up to 9, we actually see a pretty substantial taper off. Even zooming out, we can see that it's not necessarily as much as what we've already experienced in the past 2 years of accumulation down at these levels. So doing flip over into the weekly now and talk about the current EMA levels, because if we actually zoom out, you can see that the price has been pretty much substantially below the 12-period weekly EMA, and it hasn't really ever had a maintaining of price action on top of the 26. But if you notice the gap between the 26 and the 12, if we zoom in right now, you can see how tight they are, and actually like they are going to be flipping bullish, which will be the first time in this internet computer chart that actually has been happening, or has ever happened rather. So since we're actually looking at our second week right now, week over week with follow through. So previously on the initial run up to $8, we actually rejected from that level pretty quick. So you can see that we did lose the 26 line of support and it didn't hold up at all. And then we did flip the 12-period EMA as resistance once again. So in the current candle that just closed on Sunday for the weekly anyway, that candle was able to have a very nice rally, especially after about 6 weeks or so of just kind of minimal bars and trading. So the fact that we actually had an extremely nice bullish candle and the follow through now on the current week to boot is still a very, very good sign, especially given now how close together these 12 and 26 period exponential moving averages actually are. So we're not even really considering the 50 at that point, but we are going to know that eventually it will be resistance. Likely, if we do see a little bit of a tapering off, that would end up meeting about this $10 psychological resistance point. So probably then in that instance, we will consider it a resistance point. But right now, we're not really factoring it in, especially since we have been getting a very nice bullish reaction from these exponential moving averages, which pretty much have highlighted the path of least resistance to the downside. And now, like we are looking like path of least resistance should be trending to the upside. Looking at some technicals now, got the RSI pulled up, relative strength index currently sitting at 80.90, which if we zoom out, haven't actually had RSI that big in ICP's history for the daily. So the last time we actually had it was coming off the start of the year. And we can see that that was after our 10-day run up and pulled back to the 12-period exponential moving average before finding support and a little bit more run up. So we are going to likely expect that at some point we're going to have to actually taper off, consolidate, which would be one of the best case scenarios, especially if we pull up the Fibonacci's and actually see a retracement that would be down to at most the 38.2, which would be 6.387. So that would be probably one of the biggest strength scenarios that we could get, rejecting off 750, consolidating, not seeing as much a pullback as we saw previously. Because when we do see bull flag type patterns that retrace down to at worst 38.2, that's a very good continuation setup to actually see a run up testing the 750 again and then the $8 level, breaking that and then flipping it into support. If we want to potentially look at this setup as kind of a cup and handle, then we would see a lower high come in, projecting, pulling back, establishing support, and then finding our strength to the upside move as well. If that is the case, then a target for that type of pattern from the bottom to the point of a break would be a target to the upside that would put price over that $10 level. So ideally, we could see that be a very big factor in a lot of the continuation and a lot of what happens over the next coming months if this pattern does ultimately get played out. But do keep in mind that now is probably not the best time for new entries, just since we have had 11 straight days in a row of continuous upside, and we are getting a little overextended against a resistance point. So typically when we do run up to a resistance point, and we do see a little bit overextension on the technicals, we know that that's pretty much going to be a pretty good sign that we will be expecting a little bit more of that retracement unless we just get some sort of massive amount of volume influx. So personally, I'm going to be patient on any new entries and positions into ICP right now, but of course, not financial advice, just kind of what I'm doing, waiting for this pattern to play out and getting a little confirmation on what type of expectation we can see. But if you are wanting to just make steady entries and dollar cost average, that is still the best option for most crypto investors, in my opinion anyway. So if you are planning on holding for an extremely long term, definitely not going to be a bad entry right now, given the future potential for Internet Computer. But with that, that's actually going to go ahead and wrap up our show today for Internet Computer. Hope everyone enjoyed and would love to know your thoughts, comments, issues, disagreements down below in the comments section, and we will chat with you over there. Or drop me a note over on Twitter at coin_trades is the handle over there as well. If you did enjoy the show and haven't done so yet, would appreciate you hitting the thumbs up, like, and subscribe buttons. Do appreciate all the continuous love and support. As always, it does mean so much. Stay safe, take care, and I'll catch you back in the next video.